Ukraine has just 2 weeks until total collapse, and Putin's main offensive hasn't even started yet. Those aren't my words. Those are the words of the European leaders this weekend. Europe is freaking out over this weekend. They need to prepare to send troops to Ukraine right now, or Ukraine will fail. That's what Europe is talking about. These are the words coming out of these crazy leaders, and they've lost their freaking minds. You'll be able to tell your kids where you were when these globalists pushed us into World War III. It won't happen, by the way, like World War II. Right now, it's happening in multiple spots, on multiple fronts, on multiple continents, across Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. This is not your grandfather's World War. So tonight, Ukraine is just days away from total collapse. EU's chief diplomat is almost begging for NATO boots and weapons on the ground in Ukraine right this minute, or BlackRock and Vanguard and all the Western companies that are benefactors are going to lose out of billions of dollars in resources that they hoped to pilfer and steal from Ukraine if Russia takes total control. Quote, without arms, supplies from the West, Ukraine will capitulate in 2 weeks. That's from EU's chief diplomat Borrell. Now, 2 weeks. Putin's offensive hasn't even started yet. Now that the ground is firmed up and actually not wet, that's when this is going to happen. This is the calm before the storm. Colonel McGregor says, quote, Ukraine is running out of soldiers at this point, and reports indicate they are losing 500 to 800 per day. And the Russian offensive has not even begun. This place is nearing collapse, he says.
The Ukrainian force has been annihilated. They've lost over 600,000 dead on the battlefield. There's nothing left. The place is falling apart.
He's right. In fact, this weekend, an entire Ukrainian battalion was destroyed, killed. That's 1,500 soldiers killed on the Ukrainian side. And a battalion, you could give or take a few hundred people, is about 1,000 individuals, so more than a battalion's worth wiped out in one day. As the Blitz writes, the Western military-industrial complex is putting pressure on politicians, including Biden and his administration, to keep the cash cow alive by prolonging the conflict in Ukraine. They don't care about the people of Ukraine, as we've long covered here on the show. They don't give a shit about the people of Ukraine. They care about the money. So what's the goal here? The other part of this goal is to topple Putin so we can steal their resources, enrich the military-industrial complex. That's always been the plan. As Colonel Mack says, this is absolute madness.
Russia, in the last 2.5 years, has built up an enormously powerful and successful force. This is battle-hardened, well-equipped, well-led, well-trained, highly disciplined. The Ukrainian nation has been destroyed. Why? Because it's mortgaged to our vanity in the West. Russia must be taught a lesson. Russia must be destroyed. Putin must be removed. Really? Why? Well, because we've decided that we want to strip Russia of its resources. So we turned Ukraine into a battering ram designed to stab Russia in the heart. Well, the Russians woke up.
Meanwhile, France knows the EU is in serious trouble. That's why tonight I mentioned multiple fronts. France is doubling down on its plan to send boots on the ground, NATO forces into Ukraine to fight Russia, and into Africa to fight Russia because of all of the mineral-rich resource region of the Sahel in Africa. They want those resources. They don't want Russia to get their hands on it. And French President Macron says Europe right now better ramp up its military or Europe is about to die. I mean, these are really strong words from these leaders. Europe is about to die? If they send troops, all bets are off. They know Putin is about to attack Ukraine with devastating consequences to end this war. They do not want this going into another dark winter. If NATO gets in the way, all hell is about to break loose. And on top of that, Russian President Putin just sent a devastating nuclear warning to NATO, warning them that if they take one step closer to prepare for all-out war. There's like 5 moving pieces this weekend that are all spiraling out of control. One of the big pieces is nuclear war. I know people who don't understand history will say that we won't go to nuclear war. Occasionally I see comments like that. But Russia is not going to lose a war against NATO. And if their sovereign territory is attacked, Putin is telling us, he's telling us, they will use nuclear weapons against NATO to defend their homeland. The U.S. would do the very same thing, by the way. And of course, we already have twice. So Putin just called out all of these warmongers, telling them that we have all of your weapons coming in from NATO, cataloged and tracked. And he says, by the way, if NATO sends troops to Ukraine to defeat Russia, nukes will hit U.S. decision-making centers, his words, and bases, his words, and we will strike all of your launch sites, Putin's words. France will be disarmed in an instant, he says, and the British Isles will go underwater. Those are the harshest, most direct comments that I think I've heard from President Putin yet. Do you really want to mess with Putin? I mean, you want to tempt fate here? Well, they are. Specifically, French President Macron, whose comments going viral this weekend, doubling down on sending forces to Ukraine. Why?
French President Emmanuel Macron has reiterated that he hasn't ruled out sending troops to Ukraine. He told The Economist the issue would, quote, legitimately arise if Russia broke through Ukrainian front lines and if Kyiv made such a request.
And today, Russia says NATO is trying to attack the Crimean Bridge again, here on the anniversary of the liberation of Crimea. Overnight, NATO launched attack of missiles into Crimea. Russia says they shot them down. And Russia's spokeswoman said yesterday that we will respond with a crushing display of force. So NATO wants to attack the Crimean Bridge again. Will Russia destroy the channel as a response? You know, connecting England to France, that massive tunnel? Will it strike NATO bases across Europe? What game they are playing is total madness right now. But Ukraine might not even be the boiling point. It's Africa, where this war might fully explode. Over the weekend, Russian soldiers showed up in the country of Niger. They rolled into a military base and found U.S. soldiers occupying the base. By the way, these soldiers are not supposed to be there. The United States is not supposed to be there. U.S. and Russian soldiers face to face right now in Niger. I mean, really? This arguably is the first time that this has ever happened. Even the Secretary of Defense had to admit this. American forces are not, I repeat, are not supposed to be there. They are illegally occupying this base.
The fact that we've got Russia as the preferred security partner now means there are Russians behind the wire at Air Base 101. We have Russians on our base somewhere. That would never happen. But the only reason it's happening is because Blinken and Biden are humiliated that their plan failed, that they poured $500 million into this country where now we're being thrown out by the scruff of our neck.
And Niger has asked Russia to come there and secure the country from U.S. and French troops who are trying to steal uranium resources. Will the U.S. back down, or will these be the shots heard around the world? World War III starts in Africa, of all places, over minerals and resources. Something big is about to happen here. Either NATO goes home with its tail between its legs and admits defeat, Ukraine fully surrenders unconditionally to Russia, which is, by the way, the only outcome that Putin will accept. He's already told us that. Total unconditional surrender. Or Putin shows the world that he's not bluffing. Something is going to give. This is why we've been prepping like big time in my house right now. I'm not going to be half-assed about it. I want to be prepared. Make sure to inspire you to do the very same thing, protecting our families right now. We're storing our own food. We've been talking about that here on the show, using solar-powered generators, making sure we have contingency plans, protecting our health by having like backup medical kits, which we talk about on the show. Also protecting our family wealth away from the US dollar. All of it. How many of you are doing the same right now? Let me know in the comments below. And by the way, I know that the left likes to make fun of preppers. Well, sorry. We all need to be prepping right now. No way I'm not being prepared for what's coming. In fact, now that I've wrapped up the news portion of today's video, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, and I want to share something very personal with you. So last year, my lovely wife started researching the topic of harmful electromagnetic frequencies. Okay, you guys actually have written to me about this and actually wanted us to do stories on it and wanted us to cover 5G, EMF, all of that. Now, some of the parents and a parents group were talking about cell towers and devices that we put next to our kids. And she really wanted to understand everything about it. So I joined her in this research, right? I wanted to know more about it as well. I went down the rabbit hole. EMF radiation is a very well documented and concerning phenomenon.
One advisor to the World Health Organization said there's enough evidence that if they were to re-evaluate radio frequency radiation,
it would be placed in class 1, i.e. a human carcinogen. And governments could not possibly ignore that.
Once we saw the data, she wanted all electronic devices removed from the bedrooms of our kids because of EMF radiation. These devices, she said, cannot be charging at night near our heads. We need to get them out of the bedrooms. So naturally I did. I started going down the same rabbit hole too, and what I found, frankly, shocked me. First of all, she was 100% correct. We have peer-reviewed research that's been suppressed showing how devastating these devices can be to our health. I'm talking lack of sleep, cancer, anxiety, constant headaches. The list is actually pretty long. You can dive into it. So I ordered LifeTune for everyone in my family. You can see it here. This is on the back of my phone. It's this little circle right here. And it protects your body from EMF radiation. I'm going to show you how it works in a second. It's actually mind-blowing. Now everybody has this in our house. And apparently, so too do 61,000 customers in 93 countries. So then I had an aha moment. I was like, who owns this technology? Who owns the patent on it? Is it Lifetune? Because that's how I like to invest my money. If I'm investing in a company and I'm buying something so that my whole family is protected, it's a no-brainer. Like if I'm, going to Dunkin' Donuts all the time, makes sense for me to also probably invest in that company because I love it so much, right? So I remember a hedge fund manager saying that if every American that ever purchased a product from Apple would have also invested in it, our middle class would be filled with millionaires. So this is a big opportunity. Then I saw a friend of the show, Russell Brand. He was talking about it. He had it on his phone. He uses it. So then I had to find out who owns this patent. I want to invest in this company. Plus, I kept buying more of these for our house, our laptops, other phones, Wi-Fi router, all of it. Then I came across the company that actually owns the patent, called American Aries. Here it is, ticker AAIRF, on all U.S. exchanges. And I wanted to learn more data on this company, especially after seeing Russell Brand talking about it. I started looking into the data on the company. It turns out their Lifetune brand is seeing sales quadruple in the past 2 years. NFL legends are using it. Super athletes like Macy Barber all love the product. Then celebrities like Kim Kardashian, influencers like Gary Brecka were spotted using the product. Celebrities are one thing, I get it. Then I saw neuroscientists that have done peer reviews and case studies on Lifetune. And then we reached out to them and asked them to sponsor today's video. They said, absolutely. They love our show. They love what we stand for. American Aries, here is their ticker again, is a consumer-facing company whose brand name Lifetune offers EMF protection wearables and devices that attach to your phone and your laptop. I just ordered the keychain for my wife's purse for Mother's Day. UFC fighter Macy Barber recently wore it to her weigh-in, to the ring. Sales are increasing dramatically thanks to the company's patented design and utility, and it's a pure play in this arena. And I want to show you why, because I believe American Aries could be on the verge here. And it has to do with the OEM potential. Think about the smartphone industry, the laptop industry, the gaming industry, TVs, routers, dozens of EMF-emitting appliances that we all use. The company's market cap is currently 130 million Canadian dollars. And here's where you can really understand my vision and my bullish thesis on this. If you strip it bare, what American Aries sells is a patented product for EMF protection that the CEO, Josh Bruni, sees as a jump starter to getting into the business of original equipment manufacturers. Now, the technology takes about 200 computer hours just to open the CDL file for the lithography to go through over 1 million etchings of their silicon resonator chip. Companies that manufacture EMF-emitting products or have radiation-conscious customers could license this chip, the silicon resonator chip, and then sell their own products with it embedded right inside of it. Smartphones, laptops, bedroom sheets, furniture, clothing, the list is actually endless. So like back in the day, we used to see stickers on computers that said like Intel inside. Imagine if it said Lifetune inside or Lifetune protected, right? And the company has already started on this path by signing an OEM deal with a sleep mask manufacturer. I've spent the last 2 months looking through hundreds of pages of peer-reviewed science and live demonstrations conducted by trained medical experts. Just look at how this works in action. Take a look at this.
Okay, so we're going to do a brain scan.
Okay.
This is a 19-channel EEG cap, and it's going to pick up the tiny electrical signals created by your brain. Right there is what you looked like after 10 minutes of having the phone up against your head with no Aries device.
That's wild.
It's very significant.
And I'm going to put it on my phone.
And I'm going to put it on the VR headset.
This is the Aries Lifetune Mini, and I'm going to clip this to my purse.
So this is what it looks like when you have the Aries.
Oh, it's even better than the baseline. How did they do that?
Can't believe how different they are. Honestly, I thought there would be like a little bit of a difference, but this is pretty insane.
So when I'm out to lunch with friends, they'll ask me, hey, what's that on your phone? And after I explain actually what it does, they're like, oh, I'm ordering one right now. So the company even sold out of them at one point. They had to get all their supply chains sorted out so they can actually keep up with demand and keep them on store shelves. I love this company for 2 reasons. First, protecting my health. I've bought them for every device in my house. And 2, I like it for being a kick-ass investment. Here's their stock ticker if you're interested in investing in the parent company. And I'll also have links to their products and their peer-reviewed studies in the description. And we'll see you next time, everyone.